Here's another hybrid rudiment for you guys. This is the one-handed Flam 5. Okay, so we have 5-stroke rolls and Flam 5, so you got your regular downbeat 5-stroke rolls. And we know we can flam that. We can also just play it one-handed. So this is similar to kind of the Irish 5 and the Fuff 5 that you may have seen before. But basically we're going to shift the sticking around just a little bit, so we have the first 4 notes of the 5-stroke roll on a single hand, and then the release is on the other hand. So sort of fast. Or so you can see the grace note and the final note, the release of the 5-stroke roll, is on one hand, and then the other 4 strokes are on the other. Learning how to play these, well, let's make sure we know how to play 4s first and foremost. And you can approach these pretty legato like this. Okay, and you finally get to a point where you got to squeeze a little bit, and the 4s should feel a bit like 3s or a bit like French rolls. So if you can do this, get that going pretty well, you can really approach the 4s the same way once you have that fluidity down. So what I do with them is I find that I squeeze just a little bit more in my thumb here, so I put a little bit more pressure on the top of the stick here for my thumb, and I squeeze a little bit more in my fulcrum in my right hand to get those notes to come across at the right tempo. So even to do some sort of fast 4s, okay, I use a lot of that squeeze to make that happen. So that's basically the skill we're going to use for the Flam 5, or the one-handed Flam 5. It's tougher to do slow, I find, too, because you're going to cross that point of where you stroke out the rudiment, just like when you learn how to break down a roll, and where you have to start to bounce. And I do think it's a little easier to bounce. So even at a slow tempo, I'll break it down a little bit for you, but it'll be really slow to stroke it out. So, and one more, left hand. One more. We'll try to go a medium tempo. And a little faster. And now a lot faster. Okay, so you can see how the approach changes a little bit as I move faster, to where I can really stroke it out just like I was doing that with one hand, and then I get to the point to where I create almost like a hug-a-dick kind of thing or a flam tap thing, that kind of accented version of the 4 to make the Flam 5 happen, which works great for this rudiment because Flam 5s are accented. Okay, now just a little bit quicker. So with that exercise, what you saw is basically 4 Flam 5s, 3 one-handed Flam 5s, and then a regular Flam 5 to turn me back around. So once again, okay, great way to sort of put those together and try to play those clean with a buddy who's playing regular Flam 5s, because you can hear the end of it kind of wants to crush down a little bit, so you got to be careful to keep that open. And even though it's sort of decrescendoing as it will by the nature of the stroke, you got to try to keep that 4 to be true rhythmically.